Welcome to another episode of Karnaval in Red. I am Karnaval. Well, let's get going, people. This is episode 6, and in this episode we will look at what happens to bad boys when they snap. Usually bad boys go to one of the two ways that's possible. Well, not just possible, but very common in their behavior when they snap. And those are deflating and exploding. That's what their titles are. You know, they either deflate when they snap or they explode. Let's look at them both and see where they take us. First definition is deflation. Let's say that Brandon, the bad boy, is in a relationship, and that relationship goes sour with his girl, and he was at a point where her demands were so high that his badass personality was no longer compensating for his shortcomings in other areas. Let's say that, such as in finances. He has been spending so much money on her that he has been at rock bottom for a while. And she's completely oblivious to this and keeps demanding more and more. Well, in this scenario, Brandon deflates by a huge gesture of, quote, "fuck it, I can't take this shit anymore," unquote, which in reality is in form of a huge argument where, you know, she tells him how worthless he is, etc. You know, the usual shaming statements. I did not dirty this channel by repeating them, so everything ends basically. Brandon is on the ground. He's actually at the ground floor in his finances. His character, which was poorly based to begin with, is completely destroyed, and there is nothing to do for him other than to sit there and use all of the time in the world and in the universe to try to find out where he went wrong, which he will not find out for years, because he didn't go wrong anywhere along this journey, because that means that it was right. He was doing something right somewhere along this journey to begin with, thus he went wrong. So there was a tangent of a mistake, which is not correct. The whole thing was one colossal mistake, and time only will tell how he recovers, if he ever does. Now, the second possible path of self-expression due to unprecedented pressure is explosion. Explosion usually is done in order to try to do the unthinkable, to never be defeated, in order to maintain a success track record for someone who is completely unappreciative of it, the female in this case. So let's face it, kicking a nerd or even beating him up to get money out of him to take his girl to movies is easy, but later on you can't use the same methods to satisfy the grown and more massive feminine appetites for objects. What are you gonna do with that? You know? So Brandon's girl sees a piece of jewelry that she wants, and this is so retarded of a desire that not just Brandon, but if you put both of them to work and saved money, they could not afford such things. You know, I'm going on a tangent here. You know how people say that, well, you're marrying outside your class and what have you. A woman's desires are downright ridiculous. Now you might say that, well, what's wrong with having desires, hopes, dreams, things you wish? There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're using them to attain them, using them as a reason to propel yourself to a level where you are parallel to the things that you once wanted, thus now you have access to it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're eating at McDonald's because you have to, and then you bitch and moan because you can't get a Louis Vuitton purse or what have you, that's nothing wrong with reality. Something's wrong with you and your life. So, as stupid as Brandon is, she is just as stupid, but in completely different avenues. Now, going back to the topic here, let's say that they were walking in the mall, and in a jewelry store they saw a Longines watch. Now, to give you an idea of the brand, what Longines is a product demo. That's what's gonna sound like. To give you an idea of the brand, the most affordable Longines watch for men, when I last looked it up, was going around $1,000. So imagine how much it would be for women. It starts around $1,000 and just goes right into space. So she sees this and wants it. Of course, my Brandon would get it for me because he has never disappointed me. God, I love him so much. This shit is echoing in her brain, right along where the bugs are, and right next to that spider web. I bet you all can see it played out in front of you, how this ends, right? You just know where this is going. So Brandon, the bad boy, has to get this, and of course, he never had that much money in his pocket, let alone have it loose to spend it, so he ruins his life trying to satisfy her. Either tries to get it out of people, by force it by whatever means you can possibly think of, steal or what have you, or rob people, anything that can basically get the job done. So either tries to get it out of people by forcing them, or just rob the item from the store, or get it in some other way to accomplish his ultimate goal, which is to satisfy her. And of course, he gets caught and ends up getting locked up and ruins his life permanently, and she tells him how much of a loser he is, as she acts like she doesn't even know him. And in less than a week, she's screwing someone else. While Brandon, at this time is sitting in a jail cell, and again wondering where he went wrong. Going back to the very first thoughts of Brandon in the definition of deflation, still thinking that this whole thing was going right, and then somehow he took a side road somewhere and things went wrong, which is wrong. That's not what happened. The whole thing was a mistake. So he's gonna find that out. It's gonna take him years, because his life was basically around satisfying the women he was with. So thinking is not something that is not looked upon as a, I don't know how else to say it in a way that people would understand without getting too grammatically demanding of people, because people's vocabulary is down to cool and sucks these days. Something positive. Let's be kind. Let's say positive. Yeah, because I had a professor who once told me that people rather die than think, and that rings true in today's society than in any other time at any other place in the world. Western world has some real problems, dire, that in need of serious reconsideration and reassessment. So you know the rest. You know where it goes from there. He's sitting in a jail cell and trying to figure out what to do. That's what happens. Now, as you can see, there's next to no liability or risk to be with a bad boy. From a leeching female perspective, you know, you get all the rewards and they have all the liabilities. So I'm gonna end this episode here, and on the next episode I will discuss what happens when good guys snap. Thank you so much for listening. Fratres, carpe utam.